have architect and homeowner Adam Wright, along with builder Tarn Dickerson, and they're going to be discussing new residential construction. Tarn grew up on the coast of Maine, helping with his family's custom home building business prior to moving to Colorado for a degree in natural resource management. After a few years working in land conservation, he moved to the Yampa Valley and resumed building homes. In 2006, he founded Sustainable Building Solutions with the goal of building sustainable, energy-efficient homes, and has been striving to meet the goal ever since. Adam is a LEED accredited professional and project architect for Kelly & Stone Architects in Steamboat. He is pursuing LEED for home certification and manages the LEED process for his own recently completed home on North Larimer. So, Adam, come.
An interesting note, I actually also grew up on the coast of Maine, but we met out here. So I'm going to start by being pretty specific and brief about the questions that that Susie and Sarah sent to us. So, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Why LEED? Why did we choose LEED? Why did I choose LEED? For quite some time, I've been really interested in sustainable building. When I was doing my architectural degree, LEED was in its earlier phases, and I grabbed right onto it. I became accredited, but then never had the opportunity to use it, ever. And so when I finally had the chance to build my own home, I gave myself that opportunity. I wasn't, so I guess because of that history, I just, and the initial interest, I didn't even really consider any other programs. I didn't even do the Routt County program because I really want to just focus on LEED. So, although I think everything that I did probably covered me on that. I want to quickly touch on positives and negatives. The biggest one being it's a pretty holistic program. So it covers, in 6 topic areas, it covers really everything in the construction process. Secondly, it's just a nationally recognized program that's established a really good name for itself. It's probably the best known from what I can tell or from what I know. It's also understood as not necessarily an easy thing to accomplish, so there is some prestige in that. And then, as in some of these other ones, it's similar in that it has a points system. So you do have some flexibility as far as picking and choosing a little bit, provided you meet the prerequisite requirements. On the negative side, I would probably say that just the oversight and the coordination that's required to facilitate and complete the process adds a bit to any project. The logistics, along those lines, the logistics of having that oversight where we are, being in Steamboat and a slightly more remote location. So, and I'll get into the structure of that in a little bit, but what I mean is that if you're in Denver, you can have, or in Boulder, there's accessibility for the oversight readily available. In Steamboat, they have to get here. With the exception of Chad Fiegler, who, to touch on what was said earlier, he is involved in this project, and I was not aware of him going out of the business, although, anyway, I think it could be obviously something, when going through the tough time of the economy, there was, probably that was part of how that conversation began. And then meeting the credential, and then again, another thing related to that is just meeting the credential requirements to complete the process as far as contractor, subcontractor, and that knowledge base. Specifically with HVAC, there's really no one, there was no one, to my knowledge, in town who had actually the proper certification to complete this process and meet Energy Star, which, by the way, is a huge component to the LEED. It's the energy component to the LEED process. So Jim Finnegan, Tins, he had to go through that training and pay $800. So, and that's like, I think anyone would admit is a credential that he is happy to have, but when no one's doing this process, it's something that you have to go through to establish. And then to finish off there, as has been discussed, the negative of having this oversight that I just pointed out, or as a negative, is very much a positive. So, I mean, that's why we're doing it. So we have verification that we're building as we should be. Next, I just want to touch on, and I'm sorry, I forgot about my slides. So can you go to the next slide? Please. And I don't even need the slides because you can't read them. So I was going to give you just...
These will be online.
What's that?
So we will have these posted so people can go after to our website and see all these slides.
Yeah. And what I did forget about is just giving you a quick summary of the project data behind my project. I'm not really going to talk about the project a lot just because I'm just moving in basically as we speak, and so I have no history with it. I obviously haven't quantified anything, but it's a single-family home with an attached garage and an apartment over the garage. The apartment is about 650 square feet. The home is about 2,000 or 2,100 actually with a loft. The apartment is a one-bedroom with a loft. The house has 4 bedrooms plus a loft. It's on a crawl space. Our heating is forced air. We have a whole house ventilation system on the ERV in both units. And yeah, that's it for data. So quickly lessons, or next slide. Go to the next slide. So I felt like really, I mean, for me, starting this process, a very, very critical part was understanding really how to get going and knowing that there was oversight. What does that consist of? And that's what I thought would be a really important part of this conversation with you. And then assigning costs to that. So you have your, for LEED, you need a LEED homes provider, you need a green rater, and you need an energy rater. Now, those can all be the same entity. And then you also, essentially you need a LEED for homes professional. Those can all be out of the same organization. They can't all be the same person. In this case, they were mainly Energy Logic covered that, but then I added chat for the actual energy rating portion, which is largely Energy Star. Green rater, homes provider oversee or is essentially qualified by USGC. And that's basically it. That's their function. And then the green rater really is the biggest component, and they're the ones that essentially oversee and provide what they call QA or quality assurance over the actual testing and performance of the systems and the various checklists. And then the energy rater will do the actual energy rating and some of the on-site inspection. And then the LEED AP helps obviously to facilitate and manage the process, make sure help establish the preliminary rating, and make sure obviously you're on track with everything. And then I might zoom out again just so you can see the whole picture of all the components. But, and of course the final key, or the biggest key, but final on the list, the contractor, of course, is key, because they're obviously having to get the project, or get these specific points met, get the project done. Energy Logic, their services were approximately $4,000 on about a 2,700 square foot living space property. Chad's fee, Mountain Energy, was about 2,500. I don't really know my costs, but I could have had Energy Logic do some of what I wanted to do, and they gave me some approximate numbers, but I put my costs at about $4,000 to $6,000. Tarn, his sort of, or the sort of oversight and management specific to the process that he had to really engage in was kind of in the $1,500 to $2,500 range. So, you know, at approximately $14,000, although not as a percentage of the project cost, not huge, is in my opinion, a sizable number for someone building a budget-driven home. But anyway, it was important to me to do in 5 minutes. No, you need to go. So why don't I pass it over then to you, Tarn?
Okay. I'm really just going to talk about some of the kind of nuts and bolts things that we actually had to do in building this home to meet LEED that would be different from a code minimum home. It's a little difficult for me to really quantify some of those because in the last 10 years, every home we've done has been to some degree above code minimum in terms of insulation and air sealing. The big thing, as we've heard from some of these other projects, being that we had to meet Energy Star version 3, we had to have a thermal break in the insulation assembly. In this case, we chose exterior foam to achieve that thermal break. That was probably one of the larger costs in terms of hard costs associated with this project. We also had to meet certain air sealing or air tightness measurements. We actually just had some of that testing earlier today, and it was a little stressful, but we passed everything. So we aren't 100% there, but it looks like the project will get its certification. So those two things probably added, in terms of hard costs of the project, they probably added $12,000 to $15,000. Again, it's hard for me to quantify that because I haven't, in the last 10 years, I haven't done a home with just government insulation. Every home we've done has been an upgraded insulation package to some degree. So really, meeting Energy Star version 3 was the biggest component on our end from a construction standpoint. We talked about the insulation, and the air sealing required to meet that. The other LEED requirements there are a lot of other LEED requirements. There's a water management checklist. There are various other construction details we have to achieve, but really they're really best practices that people should be doing. They should be done on every job, and there are things that for the most part we are doing on every job. I think, as Adam touched on, one of the real benefits is having independent energy and green raters coming in and testing the systems, testing the home for air tightness, testing the heating system for air tightness, ventilation, and tough to work for efficiency or tightness or correct balance. You know, those are all things, like other people have pointed out tonight, it's easy to say, you know, we build a great home, we do everything right, but, you know, the only way to really know that as a homeowner is to have a third party come out and do that testing and verification. It's that independent oversight is something that, you know, I welcome on the project. It was really good to work with the extra experts that were brought into this project because of the LEED process. I think they bring a lot of value. In addition to the verification, you know, they're an additional person you can bounce ideas off for installation assemblies, air sealing methods. You know, they're a resource that's there. You know, if you want to utilize them, they're there to really help you build a better product. And I think that you know, to be building good homes, you need to be constantly educating yourself and networking with other professionals in the industry, so that you're really improving the methods that you're using. And you know, in terms of myself as a builder, I think that was the benefit of being involved in this project. So, construction costs. Gotcha.
Sorry.
You know, the numbers at, I think, 12,000 to 15,000 for hard costs in the construction. I'm sure over time that's going to pay itself back in energy savings and water savings and other savings in